Joining me now is Boston Strong, Charles Rosa, who's coming off a very impressive win over Manny Bermudez at UFC Boston in the very first round via submission. Charles, how are you?
Great, man. Just happy. Just got back from the gym, so did some jiu-jitsu and back on the grind already.
Nice. Well, it's good to see you. I caught up with you a little bit down at the Bellator events at the Mohegan Sun. Again, I watched your fight, every second of it, and you looked amazing. Manny was coming in. He had a lot of hype behind him. He did drop his last fight before he fought you, but he started off really well in the UFC, and you looked phenomenal, and he's ultimately been cut since. Can you just talk a little bit about, I guess, the game plan heading into fighting Manny? Because he's obviously very well versed on the ground.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean that's what everybody in the media and everybody was saying, but like I know very well because the training where I'm at American Top Team. I train with the best guys in the planet, the best jiu-jitsu guys in the planet. Like I get looks every single day, and I'm a black belt in jiu-jitsu under Ricardo Laborio and Charles McCarthy. So that's my strong point. So like when I heard media people and just interviews, people asking me like, am I worried about his ground, his 11 submission victories? He's the Bermuda Triangle, all this stuff. Like, I thought about it. I'm like, well, maybe I'll drill a little bit extra triangle defense and a little bit of like extra guillotine defense, but I knew for sure there's no way he was beating me like that. I've never been finished with a submission or anything like that in my entire career as a fighter. So I knew it wasn't going to start, my hometown in Boston and all the years and all the work I put in. And gave me a lot of confidence, obviously, going with the guys I get to go to with my gym. I train with world champion jiu-jitsu guys every day, and if they're not tapping me, I know for sure that Manny wasn't. And then I also had that feeling, too. I had a feeling like, man, I think it's more likely that I was going to get him, and that's what happened.
Now, obviously, you've been in the UFC for a while now. You're a little bit of a veteran, you could say, here in the biggest promotion in the world. Manny was still relatively new, but a lot of people were giving him a chance to go in there and finish you. Did you feel a little disrespected heading into this fight?
Yeah, there's no doubt. The only losses I've had in the UFC were against top 10 guys, and they were all fight of the night losses, all fights that I thought I could have won or should have won. A split decision loss in Mexico City to Yair Rodriguez, a fight that I thought I won. I fought Shane Burgos, which technically it's a TKO loss, but I was beating him 2 rounds to none, and in the third round he dropped me, and I got right back up on my feet swinging, and the ref jumped in. And I still am a little bit bitter about that one. I'm not the type of person to make excuses, but I just know where my skill level is. I've never been outclassed by anybody. I've never really felt like I was anywhere out of my league, especially with someone in my weight class. And even in the gym, I spar with world champions, and I know my skills at, and I know I have the skills to be a champion. So, I was happy to be able to show my skills at the Garden in my hometown in front of the crowd. Pick up the performance bonus, my fourth one in 6 fights, and man, I'm just gonna keep on rolling and keep them coming.
You obviously have a big following, especially in the New England area. For anybody that didn't get a chance to see how the submission presented itself, talk about how you were able to get the submission there on fight night.
Yeah, there's no doubt, man. My armbar is one of my specialty moves. You can ask anybody in the gym, anybody I train with. Pretty much anytime I roll with someone, they catch them in an armbar, they might get wise to it after getting caught in it once or twice. So I usually don't get them many times after that. But yeah, man, that's my go-to. I think I've won like 5 fights like that as a professional, and who knows as many as an amateur. Probably like 10 as an amateur. I fought like 20 amateur fights. So that's one of my specialty moves. And all my coaches, it's funny because like when I went back to the gym, my jiu-jitsu coach, Pumpa, Mike Brown, my coach, all of my training partners were like, man, I knew, Dan Lambert, the owner of American Top Team, I showed him it before. They were all like, I knew when you were on your back. Like I was telling the people next to me, you're going to get the armbar. And I'm like, yeah, man, they all knew it, they all knew that it was about to come, and it did. And I mean, it wasn't a surprise, as like Diaz would say, I'm not surprised,
From the New England area, everyone knows that you got a big following, as I alluded to earlier. But how sweet was this? How much more special was it that you got this win in your hometown?
Yeah, I mean that's my third win in the Garden. I just passed Conor McGregor for the most wins at the Boston Garden all time. So for me to pass, that's just the start of the many records I plan on setting. 2 years ago, the doctor told me that I should retire and hang up the gloves. I had a neck injury, and he said that I might not, fight again. And that was like one of the most devastating meetings or whatever you want to call it, sit downs in my life. And I kind of thought for a second my career was over, but then I did ask him. I said, "Are you telling me that like I should retire? I mean, I have to retire. Like it's not an option. Are you telling me that I should retire?" He's, "I'm telling you, you kind of should retire." I was like, "Well, what are the chances that I'm able to come back and make a comeback?" He's like, "Well, for an athlete, it's like 1%." And I said, "Well, just so you know, I'm a one percenter. That's what I am. All the guys in the UFC, all these guys that you guys watch on TV, and all these people that you're watching in these big events, they're the one percenters. For every 100 fighters, there's only one. Probably every 1,000 fighters, there's one that's in the UFC, or one that makes it to the big stage, and then even out of 100 of those, there's only one that makes it to the top of the top. The top 10. So this is I mean, everybody knows how the UFC is very cutthroat. You can't lose a couple in a row, nothing like that. You're fighting the top guys in the world from the top countries in the world. So yeah, man, that's just what it was. I was happy to be able to get in there, and a lot of people were like, "Aren't you glad you proved it wrong? Don't you just want to say, fuck you to the doctor?" And I said, "No, I don't want to say fuck you to the doctor, but I kind of want to thank him because he gave me that extra motivation, telling me that, just letting me know what I already knew, that I'm a one percenter, that I'm one of the people that isn't going to stay down. I'm the person that's going to get up when all odds are against them."
As you just said, the UFC is very cutthroat, and Manny Bermudez has now been cut from the UFC.
Yeah.
Do you believe that this had more to do with his performance against you, or the fact that he missed weight again?
No, man. I think Manny is a super tough guy. Definitely formidable opponent. Like, belongs in the UFC. I don't think anybody would doubt that. I mean, he was 14-0 in the UFC, coming into the UFC, and he was 3-0 undefeated in the UFC at one point with all finishes. Like, the guy's a monster. There's no doubt about it. So I don't think it was his skill level that was the issue. I just think it was his discipline. He missed weight 3 times in a row. So to miss weight 3 times in a row is I've never heard of somebody doing that, honestly, in the UFC. I don't know, maybe in other promotions, but I've never heard of something like that, and especially not being like a former champion or something. You know what I mean? Like, at least having, more like being a top prospect. That's not what they want. It really messes things up for them and makes it difficult. So they'd probably just rather not have that. I don't think it had to do with him not being good or anything like that. Like, I don't want to take that away from the kid. He's an animal. There's no doubt about that.
I've spoken to Manny a few times. He's a really good guy. Do you
Yeah.
expect him to make it back to the UFC? And if so, what weight class do you think makes the most sense?
Well, I think that he needs to make some adjustments for himself. I mean, I talked to him after the fight. I was able to chat with him and stuff like that. I think he's super young and he's super talented. So I know that if he wants it, he can make it back. I don't have any doubt in that. But it's all about discipline, man. There's so many guys I see come in the gym that have the talent and have the skills and have everything to be a champion. They have the athleticism. They got, been training since they were little kids. Like, they have all the pieces, but they're always missing like one thing. And the worst thing you can be missing, as crazy as it sounds, like, more important than anything is discipline, because that's what martial arts is, and that's what makes great fighters. So that's kind of like maybe what he's lacking. But luckily, that's something that can be fixed. There's sometimes you can't really teach heart. There's certain things you can't teach, but if you can get the right coaches behind you and the right team behind you and the right people to push you the right way, I think I think he could be very successful.
Yeah, no doubt. Now, you got the performance of the night. How did you celebrate, and what are you going to do with that extra money? You just going to bank it, or are you doing something nice for yourself?
Nah, man. Yeah, I mean that's my fourth performance bonus, so I'm smart enough now to invest it wisely. Like, being out for 2 years, obviously I wasn't getting paid from the UFC. It's not how it works. So you only get paid when you fight. So luckily, I made some good investments with the money that I made before, and you put it in to have the money work for you. So that's kind of what I do with it. I try to be smart. Like, I don't really go too crazy. So I like to go to the casino sometimes, go to do some fun things like right away, and try to enjoy and let my mind let loose and get free a little bit. But once I get back into the gym, man, it's right back in the grind. I got a lot of companies and people that sponsor me and help me and make my life much easier. So yeah, man, I try to be wise with my money. Something my grandfather always told me, always be wise with it and make it, invest wisely and stuff like that. So I've been doing that. And it's always paid off. So.
Now, I met you and your father for the first time at an NEF event in Portland. Your father, what a wonderful man he is. And for anybody that doesn't know, he started Chucky's Fight, which is a wonderful charity. Just talk a little bit about how that originated, if you don't mind. And for anybody that wants to support it, where can they go to find it?
Yeah, Chucky's Fight is a charity me and my father started, and it's a charity that's helped dedicated to knock out substance abuse. I lost my 2 older brothers, Dominic and Vincent, to drug overdoses. When I was 16, I lost my brother Vincent. In the following year, when I was 17, I lost my brother Dominic, so to drug overdoses. So that's something that definitely hits home with me. And what my dad did is he stopped working his job that he worked for 30 years at a wire company, and he dedicated his life to helping knock out substance abuse, to helping kids that maybe don't have the education. He likes to educate teens on substance abuse, and then the people that are already into drugs and they can't get in the treatment centers, don't have the funds and the stuff to do so. He's able to help them out and give them grants and get them in the treatment centers. And he's helped over thousands of people get in the treatment centers. He's talked to thousands of kids, and even at the end of the day, if he can just help one of those kids and save one life, then it's all worth it. Like, this life is so valuable. So like, I think the fact that my dad's been able to help so many people is really special, and he's a good dude. And for the people that don't know what Chucky's Fight is, you can go on chuckysfight.com, check in, donate. It's all goes to a good cause. And also, it's pretty cool to watch because he goes and he jumps in the ocean. You're in Boston, right? Where are you at right now?
I'm up in Maine, so I'm a little further.
Oh, it's even worse, dude. Yeah, it's freezing up there. So you can imagine having to jump in the water right now. He does that every single day. It's probably I've been in the water with him when it's negative 19 degrees out. We go jump in the water. We put my brother's ashes in the ocean. So that's kind of that's his way of kind of going to visit him every day. But he also does it a way to raise money. So he'll jump and make a plunge, maybe sometimes with like the CEO of certain companies, and they'll come and jump in the freezing water with him, and they'll raise money for this charity, and that money goes right towards like kids and education and helping people to get in the treatment centers that maybe don't have insurance to do so. So it's all for a good cause, but definitely entertaining too, because you get to see him jump in the water when it's snowing out.
Yeah, first off, I just want to say I'm really sorry to hear about your brothers. I haven't lost my brother, but I did lose my best friend to substance abuse. So I can empathize a little bit with you. So what a wonderful thing. Everyone that's out there watching, please go to chuckysfight.com, find a way to help here. I also understand that you kind of moonlight as a chef, that you have a part-time job doing that. Is that true?
Yeah. I'm also a chef at Cut 432. It's a steakhouse in Delray Beach. So I don't do it as much now because I'm really focused on, becoming world champ, focusing on my dream. But I just went in there the other night and they told me that they played my fight, during service, which is like a 5-star restaurant at fine dining. So to put on the UFC fights isn't the norm there. But they were all cheering for me, watching me get the big win. And, a couple of people came out to me like, man, I bet a bunch of money on you. Thank you. And I'm like, oh, no problem, man. It was also a good bet,
Yeah, absolutely. What's your best dish? Like, what do you like making the most, or what do people that are around you like tasting the most?
My favorite thing to cook is just chicken parmesan. That's like, it seems like it's pretty simple, but my dad, he grows all those fresh tomatoes from the garden and stuff like that. So, I've learned most of my cooking skills from my dad. I also went to culinary school, but I've learned more from him than I did from going to school for 4 years at Johnson & Wales. And, but they're both good. And, but yeah, I think I like making chicken parmesan. It's one of my favorite dishes, and Italian food, rolling meatballs since I was a little kid. So that's it's definitely my go-to, but I can pretty much make anything at this point.
Nice. Well, next time I make a trip down to Florida with my girlfriend, I might have to pop in and see you. Have you make that up?
Come through, man. Come through. I mean, right before you called, when you tried before, I was at the pool. It's freaking beautiful right now. Yeah. So this is the spot, man. Come through anytime, and you stay in touch, man. All right.
Yeah, very cool. Last question, real quick. I know you said you wanted a rematch with Yair Rodriguez. If that doesn't happen, who would you like to fight, and what's the time frame that your friends and family can see you fight next?
Yeah, I mean, I want to get back in there whenever they want me. I mean, I'm back training. I do think it's important to have a little bit of like a break from my body, especially going through like the surgery, and stuff like that I went through. So I think, it's important to keep the strength and conditioning and the different parts of it. So I'm not just steady pounding my body all the time and like get right back in the sparring, get right back in there. So I do appreciate like, a month of time to relax, but I want to get right back in there, man. I'm title chasing. I want to get to the top, and I want to get there, as fast as I can. And I want to fight the top guys. I mean, my next fight, it's going to be pretty much up to my manager who I fight. I don't know what they want to do. If they want to put me against a top guy, obviously I can compete against the top guys and I can beat the top guys because I have. But in the same breath, I want to make sure that I do it the right way and I do it accordingly and I build myself up to that. So I'm ready to get back in there. I'm hoping maybe January would be great. I'd like to get back in there. I haven't seen the cards yet in January, but I want to start looking at them. And I'm thinking probably in the next week or so, I'm going to kind of say that I'm ready to see who's next,
Very nice. Well, Charles, I appreciate the time. Go enjoy the sun, and we'll be talking again soon.
All right. Thanks, brother. Appreciate you, man.
Thank you.